very quickly out of the blocks. Pistorius, he's absolutely haired out of the blocks, closed right up on Oliveira, but now down the back straight. How will Oliveira be able to respond? It's Pistorius who leads. Prince going well on the outside, also Blake Leaper. Now Oliveira is starting to come back, but Pistorius has the lead. Can the Brazilian keep his form around this second bend? But Pistorius is going away. He's putting distance between himself and Oliveira, and Oscar Pistorius, the greatest Paralympic athlete of all time, is going to take this gold medal. He's in a different league, and Oliveira is tying up. People are standing up, cheering, flashlights going all around the stadium, and Oscar Pistorius is the Paralympic champion of 2012 in London.
Hello, I'm Tanya Beckett. Welcome. Former athlete Oscar Pistorius has been released from prison on parole more than 10 years after killing his girlfriend and is now at home. The South African has served just over half of his jail sentence following a crime and trial that dominated international headlines. He shot Riva Steenkamp multiple times through a bathroom door on Valentine's Day in 2013, later claiming he mistook her for
2013. Inside a luxury home in Pretoria, 4 gunshots shatter the quiet night. Behind a locked bathroom door, a young woman lies dying. Her name is Riva Steenkamp, a model, a law graduate, and the face of South Africa's rising generation. The man who pulled the trigger was no ordinary killer. He was Oscar Pistorius, the double amputee Olympian once hailed as a national hero, known to millions as the Blade Runner. He claimed it was fear. That he thought she was an intruder. But what kind of fear fires 4 times through a closed door? 8 years later, he walks free, released under parole. And the world is still divided by one question. Was it love, or murder? Before she became a headline, Riva Steenkamp was a dreamer. Born on August 19, 1983, in Cape Town, South Africa, she grew up surrounded by sunlight, sea air, and horses. Her father, Barry, was a trainer, her mother, June, a quiet but strong woman who taught her grace and empathy. Riva was the kind of person who made people pause when she entered a room, not because of fame, but because of warmth. Teachers at St. Dominic's Priory in Port Elizabeth remembered her as steady, grounded, and endlessly kind. Her classmates said she had a habit of encouraging others even when she was struggling herself. By her early teens, she was modeling, but she never wanted to be known only for beauty. After school, she studied law at Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University, earning her Bachelor of Laws, LLB, in 2005, a degree she hoped to use to fight for women's rights. Friends said she was determined to become an advocate by 30. She worked as a paralegal, gaining experience in court environments and learning how justice could protect, or fail, the vulnerable. But even as her legal ambitions grew, the camera kept calling. She became one of South Africa's most recognized faces, appearing in television commercials for brands like Avon, Toyota, and Clover, and was even voted among FHM South Africa's 100 Sexiest Women 2 years in a row. Yet her friends insisted Riva's confidence wasn't vanity, it was discipline. She showed up early, learned every name on set, and never treated fame like a prize. She volunteered in anti-bullying campaigns and spoke publicly about gender-based violence, saying in one interview, "The time has come for women to stand up and be heard." In 2013, she was set to appear on the reality show Tropica Island of Treasure, filmed in Jamaica, a milestone she was excited to share with her family. She called her parents often, checking on them, talking about her future plans. Those who knew her, friends, colleagues, her publicist, all described her the same way, kind, real, and driven. They said she had a presence that made people feel safe. On Valentine's morning, February 14, 2013, that light went out. Riva Steenkamp was 29 years old, a woman who could have changed the world, silenced in the home of the man she loved. Pretoria, South Africa. February 14, 2013. Inside a high-security estate called Silver Woods Country Estate, darkness covers the quiet streets. Behind one of those tall, guarded walls stands Oscar Pistorius' luxury home, a modern two-story house with glass, steel, and too much silence. It's just after 3 a.m. when neighbors are startled awake. Some hear screams. Others, a series of rapid, explosive cracks, 4 gunshots echoing through the night. Minutes later, the call comes through to emergency dispatch. Paramedics rush to the scene. What they find will haunt South Africa for years. In the narrow bathroom of Pistorius' master suite, the door is splintered by bullet holes, 4 of them, each fired from a 9mm Taurus pistol. Behind that door lies Riva Steenkamp, bleeding heavily from wounds to the head, hip, and arm. Oscar Pistorius is kneeling over her, sobbing, trying to revive her. He carries her down the stairs in his arms, but by the time paramedics arrive, it's too late. The police arrive soon after. Evidence markers line the hallway. They find a pistol on the floor, cell phones scattered, and bloodstains leading from the bathroom to the staircase. But something about the scene doesn't add up. The bathroom door is locked, from the inside. Yet the key is later found on the floor, near Riva's body. The bullets were fired through the wooden door, downward, consistent with someone shooting from a standing position towards someone crouched or seated behind it. Investigators note that Pistorius' prosthetic legs were not on when the shots were fired. He claims he was on his stumps, in fear, thinking an intruder was hiding in the bathroom. But crime scene experts find otherwise. The bullet trajectory and gun height suggest he may have been standing, possibly wearing his prosthetics. That difference would later become a central question in the trial. Neighbors later testify they heard a woman's voice screaming moments before the shots. Others say they heard a man shouting for help afterward. On the kitchen counter, police find 2 cell phones, one belonging to Riva, one to Oscar. Riva's phone shows recent text activity, though the content is never publicly released. Officers collect shell casings, the gun, and fragments of the bathroom door. The blood trail, the broken panels, the quiet body of a woman who once spoke about love and safety, now evidence in a story the world can't quite believe. By dawn, the news spreads across South Africa. The golden boy of the Olympics, the man who ran on carbon blades and conquered the impossible, is now under arrest for murder. And outside that home, cameras gather. The perfect love story has turned into a national nightmare. Before the world saw him in handcuffs, they saw him fly. Oscar Pistorius was once the pride of South Africa, the double amputee sprinter who ran on carbon fiber blades and shattered the limits of what the human body could do. At the 2012 London Olympics, he made history as the first amputee to compete against able-bodied athletes. He was called the Blade Runner. Sponsors adored him. The public worshipped him. He was the face of triumph over tragedy. But behind the flawless smile was a man who lived with constant fear. Court testimony later revealed his obsession with security, loaded guns by the bed, a cricket bat beside the door, alarms, and a strong sense that he was being watched. He slept lightly, always on alert. In interviews before the shooting, he admitted he felt unsafe in South Africa, a country plagued by break-ins and violent crime. But prosecutors would argue that fear wasn't paranoia, it was a warning sign of a deeper instability. People close to him described Oscar as intense, charming one moment, controlling the next. He demanded perfection from himself and from those around him. Fame had made him powerful, but it had also isolated him. In late 2012, he began dating Riva Steenkamp. On the outside, they were glamorous, magazine covers, red carpet appearances, the golden couple of South Africa. But text messages later revealed cracks beneath the surface. In one message, Riva wrote, "I'm scared of you sometimes, of how you snap at me." Another read, "I can't be attacked by you verbally and feel like you would snap at any moment." The prosecution argued these weren't random lovers' quarrels, they were snapshots of a relationship ruled by control, jealousy, and emotional volatility. Pistorius, however, maintained that he adored her, that he had no reason to harm her. He said that on that Valentine's morning, he awoke to a noise, believed an intruder had entered through the bathroom window, and fired before thinking. But forensic experts testified that Riva was awake, standing behind the locked bathroom door, possibly arguing, possibly terrified, when the bullets tore through. The defense claimed fear. The prosecution claimed rage. The court was left to decide. Did Oscar Pistorius kill out of panic, or out of anger? To answer that question, investigators turned to the evidence, the angle of the bullets, the screams of neighbors, and the shattered door that held the truth no one wanted to see. The trial of Oscar Pistorius began in March 2014, inside the Pretoria High Court, a courtroom that quickly became a global stage. Cameras rolled. Millions watched. For the first time, the hero who once ran for his country now faced it from behind a witness stand. The defense told a story of fear. Pistorius said he woke in the middle of the night, heard a sound from the bathroom, and thought Riva was still in bed. He fired through the door, thinking it was an intruder. But the prosecution, led by advocate Jerry Nell, painted a very different picture. Nell's voice was sharp, his questions relentless. He said this wasn't panic, it was anger. Neighbors testified they heard a woman screaming before the gunshots, not after. Ballistics experts confirmed the shots were fired in quick succession, each one deliberate. And then came the texts. Dozens of messages between Oscar and Riva revealed a turbulent relationship, affection laced with tension, jealousy, and fear. In one exchange, she wrote, "I'm scared of you sometimes and how you snap at me." Another read, "You make me happy 90% of the time, the other 10% scares me." The prosecution's theory became chillingly simple. They had argued before the shooting, she locked herself in the bathroom, and he fired in rage. The defense pushed back, highlighting Oscar's disability, his vulnerability, his lifelong anxiety. They said his actions were tragic, but not murderous. In September 2014, Judge Thokozile Masipa delivered the verdict, culpable homicide, South Africa's equivalent of manslaughter. Pistorius was sentenced to 5 years in prison. The public erupted. Many saw the verdict as lenient, a hero's privilege. But the story didn't end there. In 2015, the Supreme Court of Appeal reviewed the case and overturned the initial verdict. The judges ruled that Pistorius must have known that firing 4 shots through a closed door could kill whoever was behind it, regardless of who he believed it was. His conviction was upgraded to murder. In 2017, after a series of appeals, the sentence was extended to 13 years and 5 months. The Blade Runner's story, once a tale of victory and resilience, had now become one of downfall and deception. And for the Steenkamp family, the verdict brought no relief. Because no matter how many years the sentence carried, the one truth that mattered couldn't be changed. Riva was still gone. Years passed, and the name Oscar Pistorius faded from sports headlines into courtroom archives. By 2023, nearly a decade after the shooting, the man once called the fastest without legs was again in the news, but this time, it wasn't for medals. It was for parole. The South African Department of Correctional Services confirmed his early release, stating he had served more than half of his sentence and had shown positive development and compliance. He would remain under community corrections until 2029, confined by strict conditions, constant monitoring, therapy sessions, and bans on media engagement. But while the justice system had moved on, the Steenkamp family had not. In interviews, June and Barry Steenkamp, Riva's parents, said the parole decision felt like reopening an old wound. June spoke softly but firmly, "We have forgiven him as a person, but he has never told the truth." That word, truth, became the haunting echo of this case. Because no matter how many legal rulings were issued, one question still divides South Africa to this day. Did Oscar Pistorius truly mistake Riva for an intruder, or did fear and anger collide in that narrow bathroom hallway? In documentaries and public discussions, the debate continues. Some see a man tormented by trauma, a tragic symbol of fear gone wrong. Others see a pattern of control, a hidden rage that cost a woman her life. And somewhere between those two extremes lies the story's most painful truth. A woman full of hope, compassion, and ambition, Riva Steenkamp, lost her life on Valentine's Day, 2013. Her dream was to use her law degree to fight for women's rights, to protect those who had no voice. Instead, her own death became one of the most powerful reminders of how fragile safety can be, even in the arms of someone you trust. Today, her foundation carries that mission forward, supporting victims of gender-based violence across South Africa. And as the years pass, one thought lingers like a shadow over every retelling of this case. Love and fear can live in the same room, but only one leaves it alive.